got this town and it's growing, but why is it growing? When I started this town, it was a beautiful little spot on top of a hill right here. Lots of trees, lots of little roads, pretty houses. I had fun putting this on top of the hill, decorating the outside of it, and then I put in a beach area with some funky little stores and restaurants and a little bit of offices. There's a state office building here for some government work. I've added a few apartments. That was good for the first few thousand. But now I'm getting to a point where I've added a lot of residential. The demand here is low, and I've got this orange bar at the bottom that says, come on, we need more jobs. And when I click on unemployment, I've got almost all my jobs filled and a high unemployment percentage. I get it. We need some more jobs. The place is going to grow. What jobs do I add? Well, I need to consider the character of this town. What would the people here want to have more of? It's very suburban. We've got these baseball fields. The high schools have their own sports facilities, plenty of them. This lovely park road here, or sorry, not road, pedestrian path that goes through the university property that I've decorated out. All this is indicating people want it to stay green. They want it to stay clean. Okay, I can do that. What's going to grow here? Well, obviously not the ore industry, oil industry, forestry, or or whatever the other one was. I can't remember right now. I just got off a plane anyway. But none of those specialized industries, because they all make lots of pollution. No, it's going to be offices. But I don't want to zone a bunch of tall office buildings that are going to suddenly give this suburban area a skyline that it really doesn't need right now at only, 11,000 population? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a story for growth based on the fact that this is outside of a big city somewhere. It's in between two other cities, something like that. And this is something we see happening in the USA, where you have these interstate highways between major cities, and then the small cities along the highways are beginning to develop into urban areas of their own. And as they connect up with the other major areas, we see these corridors develop, these urban corridors. So what's going to drive growth here? We've got the university. We're going to add on that. We've got the residential, and you may see these buildings here in the foreground. Let's zoom in. We've got these IT buildings, these big office parks. This particular one is the IBM Toronto Software Lab, and this other is the IBM Canada headquarters. Both are in the workshop. And I've used the Rico mod to give them what I think is the right number of workers and the right kinds of workers. They had local setting, or they had the author settings. I removed those and put in my own local ones. It's as simple as just clicking on it and clicking on the Rico settings and then typing in the number, hitting add local, typing in the numbers you want, save and apply changes, you're done. If it starts off as a unique building, you just add the local. If it's already got other settings, you may need to change it from author to local, and you'll be fine. I don't use the realistic pop mod, but oh well, it doesn't matter if I have that checked or not. But by changing the number of jobs available here, now they become major employers. I put down another one of these types of buildings somewhere in what will be the IT area of town, and we get a lot more jobs suddenly that will fill up. And then I can build more residential, a little bit more commercial, and then add another big employer, and so on and so on. This is going to become a corridor. This is going to become a IT center. But I'm not going to have those IT buildings. Why? Well, let's take a look at them. When we look at these IT cluster buildings that are supplied from the, the Green Cities DLC, they're all tall. They're all really tall. And in America, that's great for downtown, but for these kinds of rural areas that are becoming suburban, that will eventually become urban, the buildings spread out. It's more like a campus style building than a skyscraper type building. And that's what I like about these buildings that have been designed by JSF1. He's the author. These are different regional headquarter buildings for various Canadian governments. But once I've added them, they look like these great kind of places where IT workers are going to go. Now, by default, they're going to start off as unique buildings, and they're going to get visitors and tourists. I don't want that. So I'll go and add a local setting here. I'll do that right here, add local. And this is not residential. It's going to be office. We'll just say generic. I'm not going to make it be an IT building. Level 3, why not? It's fancy offices. And right now it has one uneducated worker. No. Let's have 10 of those. And then maybe 20 other regular educated, 30 well-educated, and 40 highly educated. We'll have 100 people working here. Does that look about right? I don't know. There's 5 stories on it, or 6 or 7 on this side. Even if we say some of that is meeting areas and stuff like, or cafeterias, we're not going to have only 100 people in a 5-story building. That's 20 people per floor. We can do better than that. Maybe 50 people per floor. Maybe we have a few others here. So maybe we have 300 people working here, or 400. I got that. I figured let's just take some stabs in the dark here. We'll have a lot of well-educated and then a smaller number of highly educated. This is what I want to have here. And once I've made my choices, I know it says caution experimental. It works fine for me. I click save and apply changes. Now I'll close this. And now when I click on it again, it says it's got 400 workers ready to go. This is for demonstration. I'll probably move it somewhere else, but this is how we add them. Going after unique buildings that have the right look and then using the RICO settings to modify them allows me to basically build out the IT corridor that's going to be the engine of growth for Chautauqua. It sits here right by this T intersection here, connecting another city over there, another T intersection. It's right here on the major highways connecting various other cities. This is the story of rural America today as it develops, as it grows out, as people want to leave high-cost housing and a high cost of living inside the cities and move to a smaller place where it's a little more affordable. It's not hugely more affordable, but it's somewhat more affordable, and they can spread out more. That's one of the draws of American cities, that you get this suburban area where, yes, it's not walkable, it's not pedestrian friendly, but it is spread out. You've got room to grow. You've got areas where your kids can play in your own backyard. It's leafy, it's green, and yes, it's car dependent, but it's also desirable. You get more living space for your dollars, more value in what housing you buy when you're outside of the urban area than when you're inside and you have a high cost per square foot. Basically means you're going to buy less housing with your money than what you would do out in the country. And I know that big employers aren't building in the city centers. They're building on the city edges, or they're building in rural communities and turning those into these corridor types of communities that will then join up with other urban centers as they grow. A thing I love so much about City Skylines is the way that I can get an idea from something I see around me and say, I want to build that with this game. It's great fun. And as I tried to think, why is this place growing? I was driving around one day and was just thinking about how all these buildings have grown up in places where it used to be farmland, and it hit me. That's what's happening here. That's what I have here. All this open space is going to get built up. Now, we mentioned the skyscrapers before. Are those never going to show up? Probably not. Once this place gets built up enough, once we have enough population, certain areas are going to become higher value, and I may have to demolish things to put in some of those taller buildings because the price per square foot is going to go up. The demand for the land is going to increase. But right now, with land being plentiful, employers are going to spread out, lots of parking areas, lots of parks, lots of low-density residential to draw in those families that are going to have the IT workers that will staff these buildings. So when you build out your cities, ask the questions. Why is this place growing? What's driving the growth here? Why do people want to move here? What kind of industries are going to be here? What kind of buildings will I have in this town? What kind of buildings will I not have in this town? And then go to the workshop and get the assets that match your decisions. As I build this place out, we'll see more things change potentially. But for right now, this is going to be an IT corridor city. I hope this gets you excited about building cities. I hope this gets you excited about economics and urban growth. And if there's something you'd like to see more of, let me know in the comments.